talking a lot about market stats in the last couple of weeks as the spring market is really gearing up and taking off. And I think there's a huge opportunity now compared to years past with expired listings. And so I wanted to talk to you guys today about what to do with expired listings, how to go after them, why you should make them part of your business plan, because there's a lot of money sitting on the table with some relatively low-hanging fruit. So in March alone, there were 196 listings that expired. That's almost 14%. On the low end, right, you could say 1 out of every 10 listings are expired. Those are listings that the seller said, I want to sell my house. And for whatever reason, it didn't sell. And so there's this opportunity out there for you to step in and be the market expert and the professional real estate agent that can help them solve the problem that they already started to solve, but didn't do successfully. Comparatively to the 196 listings that expired, homes that were priced and presented correctly sold in 14 days at almost 100% of asking price. And so the gap between the houses that are flying off the market and the ones that are sitting and expiring is your business opportunity. And of those almost 200 expired listings, the median sales price was $385,000. And so those $385,000 listings, they didn't fail or they didn't sell because of lack of demand. These sellers already wanted to sell, right? But they didn't have the right agent guiding them. And this is likely, right? We always think like, okay, there's a bunch of expireds, I need to call them. They're probably just going to yell at me and say no, so I'm not even going to try. But as you put together your expired strategy, I think it's important to empathize and figure out, right, the seller's mindset that they're in, because the more you can understand it, the more you can strategically, right, help them onto the next step. But we know this, right? Sellers are likely frustrated. They think that they did everything right, but their house didn't sell. They could be skeptical. Their previous agent probably burned them or they had a bad experience. But they're likely still motivated, right? They listed their house for a specific reason, whatever it was. And there's a high probability that that reason hasn't changed. And you know, right, the minute a listing hits expired on the MLS, these sellers start getting all these calls. They get postcards and letters in the mail. And so they instantly become defensive. Their walls go up. They've had a bad experience in the last few months. And they're assuming that everybody who's calling them is just there trying to pitch them and get their business. And so they're thinking that every agent that they talk to or reaches out to them, right, is going to be exactly like their last agent. And so to set yourself apart in your expired strategy, your job isn't to sell yourself as an agent. Your job is to be different, right? They don't need another sales pitch. What they need is a professional agent who can diagnose what probably went wrong with their listing and provide them that clear path forward. And so if you lead your strategy with insight and data and facts and strategy, and not with hustle of just trying to get another deal, you can break through this barrier that expired sellers have already put up. And so how do you do this, right? You've got to know and understand why that listing didn't sell, right? We know that the number one cause of expired listings is overpricing, right? The seller set the price, the agent goes, yep, sounds good, I'll list it at that just to get the business. But the market said no, right? I tell sellers all the time, you could go list your house for $1 million, but that doesn't mean it's going to sell at that, right? A house is worth what a buyer or the market is willing to pay for it. And the market doesn't negotiate, right? If it's overpriced, the market told buyers to skip it and move on to something else. The second reason, poor presentation. The little picture here made me laugh when I was putting this deck together. But how often, right, are you flipping through listings and you, as an agent looking for listings for your buyers, see terrible listing photos and you skip right past it, right? You're doing that as a licensed agent. The majority of consumers are doing the same thing as well. Buyers have 8 seconds as they're looking through listings to decide whether or not they're interested and want to schedule a showing. So if the presentation, especially online, was weak, price doesn't even matter. And presentation matters as well too for physical showings when a buyer is walking through a house. It could be the perfect house for them, But if it smells bad or it's dirty, that's all they're going to remember. Buyers are going to remember the worst thing that they saw about a house, and that's what's going to stick in their mind as they're thinking through their options. And another reason that listings expire is inadequate marketing, right? No open house strategy, no social or paid advertising strategy. In a 14-day market, if buyers don't see it in the first 5 to 7 days, it's already gone cold. And so as you're working these expired listings, you will win the next opportunity to be their agent when you can walk in and say, hey, I did a lot of research and homework on your property, and here's exactly what happened, and here's what I do differently. Right? It's helping the client, it's serving the client instead of just helping yourself get another deal. And so step by step, right? How do you find these expireds? We all know they're on the MLS. But I want you to start putting this into your weekly schedule. Block it off on your calendar. Use this, right? Like this next 5-step process I'm going to teach you, and start building it into your business generation strategy every single week. So log into the MLS, search the status of expired from the last 30 to 60 days, or even shorter. You could do the last 7 days. Right? Add the class as single family. If you want to do condos or multifamily, right, do them separately. And then filter by your target zip codes or whatever neighborhood you're trying to reach. And then export that spreadsheet, right? Address, list price, days on market, who was the previous agent, what are the beds and baths, where's it at? If you prioritize the expired listings that have been on the market for 30 to 60 days, these are likely the expired listings that were overpriced from the start. And the seller has felt that sting of starting day one with the excitement that their house is going to get sold, and then having all of that fizzle over the last 2 months. So this is a sweet spot in expired listings. Don't look for stuff that was only on the market for, 5 to 10 days. Likely in that case, maybe the seller decided to pull it off early. You want to look for the ones that have sat on the market and then expired. Prioritized by homes in the price of $300,000 to $550,000. These are motivated sellers. They're holding on to a high value asset and still likely want to sell it. At this price point, it doesn't make sense for a lot of sellers to keep the property and rent it out or short-term rent it or anything like that. These sellers have a lot of equity in their property, and it's a high volume target for you as well. Also, make sure as you're looking through these expireds that they haven't been relisted by another agent yet. This is critically important, right? Our agency rules state that we can't reach out to sellers who are under contract with a different agent. And so make sure you're cross-referencing these. Also look for listings, again, that have been on the market for 30 to 60 days, over 300,000, and it had price reductions along the way. This shows and kind of signals that the seller, while their home was on the market, was flexible and still motivated to get their property sold. And so they were willing to do price adjustments. Take this list, right? And then find contact information for these people. You can do it through tons of different platforms online. Right, a spreadsheet's only as good as the contact information along with it. So get your spreadsheet and then start reaching out to the sellers. This is the first touch approach, right? You've got 3 options for first contact. Each one of these steps has a different job. And so make sure you don't just collapse them all into one and try to get your job done too soon. The first step, right? Direct mail. Send a handwritten card, 1-page letter, keep it short. Don't pitch yourself as the best agent that's going to come get their house sold. Focus entirely on what you have discovered and diagnosed was the seller's problem. Include your name, your phone number, and one compelling local statistic as it applies to why you think that their house didn't sell. Right? You could say something like, hey, I saw your home come off the market recently. I think I know exactly why I didn't sell. I'd love to share you what I found. No obligation, just here to share some information. Then reach out with a phone call. Again, keep this short and sweet because your job in this phone call isn't to pitch them on your services or give them all the information up front. Your goal here is to book an appointment. If they haven't responded to that, right, follow up with a text a couple days later. Reference the property address, your earlier note. Hey, I sent you something in the mail. I left you a voicemail yesterday. And I have some specific ideas for what I'd do differently to get your property sold. And I think it's worth a 20-minute conversation. I think another impactful thing here, instead of sending something in the mail, is to hand deliver a card. Go knock on their door, right? Nobody wants to do door knocking, but when you have door knocking with intention, you can get a lot further. And here's a good script for when you do call them, right? And I want you to practice this so it sounds natural and not canned, because if it comes off canned and scripted, they're going to think you're pitching, and they're probably going to hang up on you. But again, this phone script is, the goal here is to book an appointment, not to sell them on all your services or why you're the best or what you think went wrong. But right, hey, is this Joe? This is Reagan with Remax Preferred. I'm calling about your home at 123 Main Street. I saw it come off the market and I wanted to reach out. And I'm not calling just to ask if you want to relist. I actually pulled your property and did some homework on it. I think I've got a pretty clear picture of what happened, and I'd love to share what I found. I know you've likely heard from a bunch of agents today, and I'm not here to give you a pitch. I just genuinely think I can show you something specific and useful in about 20 minutes. Does Thursday or Friday at 10 a.m. work for a quick conversation? Right, we've talked about the presumptive close before on ending with a question and giving two options, because if you leave it open to their schedule, they're never going to book an appointment with you. And so in this phone call, the key principle here is that you're not selling a listing agreement, you're selling a 20-minute conversation. If you can keep the ask really small, you're so much more likely to get them to say yes. And then inevitably, right, they're going to have objections. Every seller that has an expired listing is going to test you, right? We know their walls are up, we know they're frustrated, we know they've been burned. And so these three objections are likely the ones you're going to hear. And if you can understand and memorize and practice these responses before they come up, it's going to come off so much more naturally, right? So sellers might say, yeah, we're not really interested in relisting right now. And you can say to them, right, I completely understand that, and I'm not here to pressure you into anything, but can I ask, is the plan to try again later this year, or are you reconsidering your move altogether? Again, you ask, or you end with that question, which keeps them talking. And if you can get people talking, you're going to find out the real reason why they're not interested in relisting. The expired sellers who feel like they got burned by their last agent and can probably do it better themselves might try to for sale by owner their house. And you can say something like, right, yep, totally makes sense. A lot of sellers try that. But can I ask you something honestly? In a market where 99% of buyers are represented by an agent, most for sale by owner sellers end up negotiating against professionals on their own. Just love to try to stay in touch and be a resource with no strings attached. Right? Help them realize that even if they think that selling it themselves is the best option because they don't trust agents or they don't want to work with another one, if they do for sale by owner, they're likely going to work with another agent anyways. And so be that resource for them and to be there to represent them. And you might already hear, oh, hey, thanks for calling, but we already signed with somebody else. At which point you can say, yep, no problem. Congratulations. Hope everything goes great. Send a handwritten note that day as well, right? You just, continue to build those future relationships. And this is the framework, right? So once you get the appointment and you go meet with this expired seller, keep it short, right? Don't deviate from the sequence. Don't go all over the place, but keep it informed and honest and informative, right? So open it with empathy, right? We know these sellers are frustrated. We know they think agents don't know how to do their job, but set the honest tone that you're there to do something different for them. Then show them your diagnosis, right? This is the homework you did on their specific property. This isn't market generalizations. This isn't, right, just throwing something at a wall, hoping it sticks. Show them comps and prove that you did your homework and understand why their house didn't sell. And then show them that market opportunity, right? Homes that are priced and presented well are selling in 14 days. Give them that data that says, hey, if we put this specific plan that I'm about to recommend in place, we can follow the market trend. We can get your house sold efficiently, effectively, and for top value if we follow this pricing, staging, marketing, follow-up plan, whatever that looks like, right? So you have the diagnosis, you know what went wrong, and you know how to solve it. Again, right? this framework mirrors the seller's emotional journey because it starts with recognizing their frustration, then giving them hope that they still can be successful, and then putting action in place. All the other agents are just pitching their services. I've been in the market, blah, 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 right? You're there to diagnose their problem, and that's the difference that's going to win you these opportunities. And again, don't just show generic marketing brochures. Show the plan that you actually built for their house. Specific wins these opportunities. And then, again, this is where all expired strategies live or die. You can't come into a property that was expired because it was overpriced and continue to overprice it. And so this is the most critical piece to get right. You can't let these sellers fail twice because of price. And so this piece right here is where it's so important to understand what the market is doing, what pricing is dictating sales, and use that data to back up your strategy, not just your opinion. So I want you to pull 3 comp categories, right? Comps that sold in the last 60 days, showing what buyers actually paid for properties like theirs. Also pull the expired listings of comparable properties to theirs. Show them that this is what the market rejected. And then the active competition. What are we going to be competing against if we were to list your house tomorrow, right? Explain to them that the market isn't random. The market will tell you exactly where your property needs to be. And this is the overpricing strategy, right? So the sold median is $385,000. The expired median is $435,000. And so this $50,000 gap is the overpricing story. This is why houses are expiring, because they're overpriced by $50,000. Help your sellers understand this. And so this is the blitz plan I want you guys to start running every single week. Monday morning, right? Pull all the new expireds from the MLS. Prioritize your list. And again, if there's 100 properties that come up on this expired list, pick 5 of them. I want you to be strategic and thoughtful about the ones that you are reaching out to, because if you just try to spray and pray over all of them, you are not going to get anywhere, right? The difference in this expired strategy compared to what all the other agents are doing is it's intentional. And you've got to have the time to put into actually doing the research, the homework, diagnosing the problem, and having time to follow up and get into contact with these sellers. So pull 5 every single week. Tuesday, right? Make your phone calls to these people. Try to book 2 appointments. If Wednesday comes, there's no follow-up, send your texts, right? Thursday and Friday, if you can book an appointment earlier in the week, this is when you go do them, right? Bring that full CMA, bring your specific plan. And then on Friday, log your results, update your follow-up, get your plan put in place if they've said yes, and start that all over again the next Monday. If you can hit 5 to 10 expireds every single week, booking 2 appointments, getting 1 new listing a month, right? 3% of $385,000 is about $11,000 a month in GCI. If you did this every single month and put another $100,000 in your pocket, that could totally change your entire year. And I don't care if you're a brand new agent or if you've been in this business for 20 years, this will work for you. Again, this is low-hanging fruit. These are already sellers that have said, I want to sell my property. And for whatever reason, it didn't work. And so you could build your entire year of GCI just by using this plan and getting in front of 10 expired listings a week. And that's why this opportunity is right now. A couple years ago, if you looked at the MLS, there wasn't a single expired listing. Now we have almost 200 of them. And so put this into your plan, put it into your business strategy, block it on your calendar, and there's, $10,000 plus sitting on the table ready for you every single week. And again, this has to feel authentic, because every other agent out there is just pitching them, right? They sound like salespeople. They sound like they're, right, sharks in water going after blood. But I love this quote, right? You don't rise to the level of your ambition, you fall to the level of your training. So you can want to do this, you can want to put the strategy in place, you want to go get expired listings reconverted, but if you don't do it correctly and you don't understand these scripts and how to deliver them, it's not going to work. And so find a partner. If you're in the agent accountability program, practice it with your accountability partner. but understand these scripts and practice them until they become natural, right? Sellers might say, we had a bad experience with our last agent. The thing you don't want to say is like, oh yeah, Mary, she's terrible. I'm not surprised your listing didn't sell, right? But you can say, hey, I'm really sorry to hear that. Again, lead with empathy. It's part of why I'm calling. I want to do the opposite of whatever happened. And can you tell me a little bit about what went wrong? I want to make sure if we work together, we're solving the right problem, right? Or we're going to try waiting until summer again. Hit them with market data here, right? There are only 3,300 single family homes available across our entire MLS. By summer, that number will be in the 5,000 or 6,000. And so the competition you'd be entering is smaller today than it would be in June. Back up your strategy with data. And right, sellers might say, well, what are you going to do differently? Explaining to them that the biggest thing I do differently is I'm not going to list your home at a price I don't believe the market will support, even if that's not what you want to hear up front. The reason homes expire is almost always pricing. And so I'd rather have that hard conversation now than have you go through this again in 90 days. Again, these small things are going to help you separate yourself from every other agent. And so you guys know it's not a Tuesday training if I don't give you guys some action items. And so start now. I know it's not Monday, but we can start on Tuesday this week. Go pull an expired listing for your area, your market, neighborhood, wherever you want to work. Do it before noon, right? I'm going to get you guys off this call in the next couple minutes. Go pull an expired list. Even identify 3 expireds you want to go after. Make sure they're not relisted yet. Choose the ones that have been, right, that sat on the market 30 to 60 days. Send handwritten cards to all of them. Better yet, go knock on their door. Go make your calls and try to book a listing appointment with an expired listing by Friday. Would love to hear if this works for you. I will cheer you on along the way. But again, lead with empathy, back it up with data, follow it up with strategy. The bottom line is this, and this is where the opportunity is. 196 sellers tried to sell their house this month and couldn't. They're still motivated. They still likely need to move. And they're probably sitting there right now frustrated and looking for somebody who can actually get the job done for them. Your job isn't to show up and pitch them on why you're the best agent in town. Your job is to show up and give them a reason to trust you. If you work this expired list, right, you're going to close more deals, but you're also going to build a reputation as the agent that can solve the problem that other agents can't. So not only are you going to close more business by converting expired listings into future solds, you're going to build a reputation of being an expert, being a professional, knowing how to actually sell real estate, which is going to lead to referrals, and that business is going to compound. And so this isn't just picking the low-hanging fruit and trying to go get new listings. It's about differentiating yourself as an agent who knows what they're actually doing, which shouldn't be hard to do because the bar for a lot of agents in our industry is low, but that's why the opportunity for you guys is so high. So go get expireds. I will take you out to lunch next week if you convert one of them into a listing appointment by Friday. So please keep me posted. Any questions?
Reagan, what are some good tips to find phone numbers? Because, you know, it's so easy to find the phone numbers that we need.
I would look, I mean, they're like truepeoplesearch.com is a free website that you can get a lot of phone numbers from.
Used to be whitepages.com, but I think they make you pay.
Yeah. A lot of them are, they're hard to get phone numbers sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if anybody has good luck with any, share it with everybody. But I do think that True People, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Shane is here and he does say Forewarn works pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can put their name in it. We'll give you the number. You don't have to have the number.
You pull up the tax and then you search by name.
Okay, yeah.
And it'll show up phone list.
Yep, you search by name. Yep.
It gives you a list. Let me get closer. It gives you a list of different phone numbers that have been associated with that person over the years, but you can usually tell which ones they've been using more recently because it will say like last updated in 2024 or something like that. So you might get a couple numbers that don't belong to them anymore, but it does usually give you some good options.
It delegates home number or cell number too.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Awesome.
Reagan, that was good. You know, expired listings, this whole process was a regular thing we did as realtors. And then as the market changed, it got so busy. I think so many agents stopped doing it. So I do think there's a good opportunity here.
Yeah, Shane was in the office the other day and we were talking and he said, "Do you ever go after expired?" I said, "Well, that's how I built my business in the beginning was expired, but I haven't done it for years, I don't think." So it is a good thing to do. Yep.
Yeah. Go get it, Shane. Shane, I'm taking you to lunch next week. All righty, you guys have a good Tuesday. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate you.
Okay, thanks, Reagan.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Well, there we go. That was kind of funny that the training